A Pasifika woman now living in Flaxmere in Hawke's Bay is thankful she's escaped a mouldy and damp nightmare rental property that was meant to be her first slice of kiwi paradise. Tala-lelei Hefa moved to New Zealand from Tonga in July, 5 months pregnant with her husband, but escaped the rental property just recently because it was affecting the health of her and her family. As Jonathan Mitchell reports, mould is being described as a much bigger threat to human health than the Class A drug methamphetamine.
It was probably the worst introduction to New Zealand anyone could dream of during the height of winter. Tala-lelei Hefa, her husband and extended family moved into a rental property in Flaxmere in July, but the cracks started to appear.
The firework is not working, everything is not working, bathroom is leaking, also that the bathroom is broken as well. So we try our best to get the landlord, but they're not even helping us to be done all of that stuff.
She was worried about her health and the health of her unborn baby.
Because that time I was on, I carrying my son that time. So I was scared about my son as well. At least I carry him, but at least he's sick as well when I breathing all the motor like that.
To make matters worse, the landlord wanted to charge her for the repair work that needed to be done. She refused and got help from the Hawke's Bay District Health Board's Healthy Housing Program. And now the family live in a new rental, which is dry and ventilated. A social worker on the housing team, Galen Best, says mould is worse than methamphetamine in homes.
Mould especially is more detrimental to house than pee, so educating not only the tenants, the landlords and the subsidies that are available through the council has really helped with addressing the issues around ventilation and mould and stuff.
Alice Peacock also works as a social worker with the Healthy Housing Program. She travels around Hawke's Bay helping vulnerable families in mouldy houses by giving them tips and kits to improve their living conditions, which sometimes involves spraying vinegar on the mould and then wiping it away.
We go through it with people, so they basically spray the vinegar onto any areas with mould, leave it for 30 minutes to kill the spores, and then wipe it off and throw those cloths away in the rubbish. Because, the spores will continue to live on anything that you've been using.
She reckons she's visited about 150 to 200 houses in the past 4 to 5 years, and it's not just old properties where mould can be a problem.
It's in everyone's home, but it's just particularly bad in some homes where it's a lot harder to ventilate the home if they don't have mechanical ventilation, if they don't open their curtains, because people like to have privacy. So, they don't open their curtains because other people can look straight in and they feel vulnerable.
Recent data from Stats NZ shows nearly 320,000 homes are damp some or all of the time, with some of the worst spots in the North Island. Philippa Howden-Chapman is a professor of public health at Otago University. She says she's not surprised by the number of damp houses, saying it's been like that since the 90s, and blames the high cost to heat homes.
Because we're a temperate, not a tropical country, we need to heat our houses, and because the electricity prices have been rising for residential people, it tends to be the last thing on the list.
She is concerned about the 28,000 kids admitted to hospital each year because they live in mouldy, damp houses. And she says while the government's healthy home reforms on insulation, heating and moisture are a good start, she says they lag behind other countries.
While I've heard a lot of comment by the landlords about how onerous these regulations are, which haven't actually come in yet, and they're still behind what they do in Britain and in Europe. So I think we have to recognise that really we need to up our game on the quality of housing in New Zealand.
Rosemary Goodyear is Stats NZ's subject matter expert on housing and was involved in its general social survey as well as the census, which asked questions about mould.
South Island, the rates of mould were lower, and then higher rates of mould in Northland and also Wellington, Manawatu, Wanganui, etc. We do know that if you've got a damp, humid climate, that's probably likely to have a contribution. It can also depend on a whole lot of other things, type of housing, etc.
She says Stats NZ plans to ask more questions about mould in its next social survey and possibly even the next census to track if houses are getting healthier and government initiatives are making a real-world change. For Checkpoint, call Jonathan Mitchell-Turnay.